Over the last month, we made 16 out of the 121 recipes in Sift by Nicola Lamb. That's right, we finally did a pastry book like so many of you have been asking for.
We bought 32 eggs for this book.
It took a lot longer than our usual reviews, and we didn't even bother to calculate average times because we did several recipes that were either multi-day or where we made the decision to take it slow for a better outcome. On top of that, we both got sick for basically the entire month of March, so we were moving a little slow recovering from that. But with those caveats out of the way, we've got a monster of a cookbook review for you, our biggest ever, and for good reason. Sift is pastry chef, recipe developer, and writer Nicola Lamb's debut cookbook. She spent time cooking in world-class kitchens in both the US and the UK, but during the pandemic, when the kitchens closed down, she turned to writing, and now, if you know her work, it's probably either through Sift, her pop-up Lark, or her absolutely phenomenal newsletter, Kitchen Projects. In the intro to Sift, Nicola says she wants to teach the fundamental principles and techniques that underpin and connect our recipes, to share the defining factors of successful baking with technique-driven recipes that will show you these skills in action and help to sharpen that Spidey-sense. More than anything, she says, I want you to be able to look at any recipe and know I can make this. And armed with that mission, we jumped in with both feet, and the very first thing on our list was the gold standard for pastry, croissants. It's a 3-day process, and it's notorious for being complex. But how hard could it really be? And that question quickly became the theme of this review.
Am I an expert at pastry?
You had one good day. Don't get ahead of yourself.
It is day 1 cooking out of Sift by Nicola Lamb, our first ever pastry book.
Yeah.
And we're gonna kick things off with, I think, the hardest and the simplest recipes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start with croissants, something none of us have ever done before. It's a 3-day process.
It's gonna be
The
tricky.
countdown begins. Shall we?
Yeah, let's get cooking. You know what, Bryn? I think I'm gonna have to take him on a walk. So maybe you get started on this and then I can help you out when we get back.
If the croissants are fucked up, it's because Sarah went on a walk. I'm in here struggling for my life.
Because we are doing so much pastry and we don't actually want to eat a bunch of desserts every single day, like several desserts sequentially, this is going to be a different type of review that is a bit longer. We're probably going to have like 10 days. I think that's what we have planned right now. But now is probably a good time to remind you that the best place to watch our content is YouTube, because each week is one video there. So this will probably be like a 2-hour long epic. Movie theaters, get ready. Cult Flav coming at you, 2025. This is supposed to be 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm at 101.4 currently, which, if our concern is how well the yeast will rise, I think we're in good shape. Definitely is a stiff dough, that's for sure. Until smooth. And what we've got right now is this, which, as far as doughs go, isn't in the worst shape. It definitely seems like it's gonna take a little more time to be smooth. It's like medium gluten development. I think we need something a little more intense. It's a very firm dough.
Looks like Deadpool's face.
It just needs to rest for 30 minutes at room temp.
Okay.
Alrighty, we are puffed. Look at this bad boy.
It is not smooth.
It is not smooth. It looks like a brain. Hopefully there's enough gluten in here that it'll work, but if not, then we know how to fix it in the future,
Yeah.
right?
What do we got? 1,000.
1043.
1043 divided by 3. 47.66667. I can start working on this one while you're...
I don't think that we really need to do much with it.
Well, you have to get it into a rectangle.
We probably shouldn't be kneading it.
I'm just shaping it.
You're kneading it, Sarah. You know I can see you, right?
I'm shaping it. I'm gonna call that good. We're done with the croissant dough for now. Day 1 complete.
And our second day of croissants. We're gonna laminate the croissant dough today.
Yep. Whoa, look how much air got in this.
Well, it's not air that got in, it's yeast. Excuse you, sir.
Can you get down?
Get off.
Working quickly. Lay them out into approximate rectangle. Just sort of there.
We're not here for sort of here, Sarah. We're here for perfection.
Oh no. You've got the wrong girl.
We got a trapezoid here.
We're gonna call that good.
Fridge City. This seems like it's gonna be smooth enough. I think I'm gonna go just very slightly wider, just so we can get that whole thing enclosed.
Now pinch the dough together to close the butter in. The seam will be horizontal and the dough size is about 6.5 by 6. Yep. Oh, this is where the like lamination rollers really come in handy, I bet.
Let's go. Flouring the surface did make it a lot easier to wrap up. Should I trim this butter off?
Yeah, it looks like she did. Look at this photo. This is the single
Yeah.
fold, but it looks like she trimmed off both of the ends to give it more of a clean.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to have like a thick layer of butter.
And then we wrap the dough and let it rest in the fridge for 45 minutes. Hey. Oh, it says to dust off any excess flour.
This dough's a little bit elastic. This is roll number 3. Boom. Final day of croissants.
Oh my God.
We're here.
It's day 3.
The bulk of the day is going to be spent proofing them. 2 to 4.5 hours. It estimates 4 hours.
Okay, let's go. There's a lot of air in there.
I think that's what we want.
I have this out just in case we have to throw it back in the fridge. Hi, buddy. Get down.
It's starting to swing back a little bit, so let's get it in. I'm seeing a little bit of butter smearing here at the end. I don't want to risk it getting too dry at this point in the process. We're gonna stick it 3 1/4 by 9.5 inches, long triangles, weighing 80 to 95 grams. Trim the edges.
How many are you supposed to get out of this?
4. Yeah, so if I cut straight down the middle and then go this way, so I have 2 right triangles.
Okay.
And then the tail.
On each side.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I went to the pastry school of Pillsbury Doughboy, and that's the way that their croissants were cut. Rest the shapes for 20 minutes in the fridge, well wrapped. All right, so 20 more minutes. All right, you're gonna roll 2 and I'm gonna roll 2.
Oh, okay.
There they are. We're gonna let them get jiggly now. I'm not seeing separation of layers yet. They're maybe just slightly wiggly. I'm getting a bit of a sinking feeling about this. It felt like it was going very smoothly, and now I'm very concerned about the state of these croissants. So we're just gonna get that in. Okay. So we're supposed to let these cool all the way before we eat them.
They definitely crumble and definitely underproofed.
We didn't realize that our mics were off last night.
Yeah. So this is take 2, the next day, reheated.
By the directions in the book. Definitely crispy outside,
Yeah, still the same.
but so tight.
Yeah.
Really clear layers of lamination on the outside, so that's nice.
It does peel
away.
apart nicely, but it's just too dense.
Too densely packed.
Yeah.
So I think we definitely underproofed it. I'm so curious about how that happened. I'm wondering if there wasn't enough humidity in the proofing chamber. Because if the outside dries out, it could slow down
Right.
expansion.
Maybe we had to keep adding in water.
That could be why her like proofing instructions had you refilling that thing. But I just had the heater on a switch and I was like, well, yeah, there's water in there, it should be fine. The other thing is I used Safe Instant Gold yeast, which is for enriched doughs, like sweeter doughs. They mentioned pastry on them, but it could be that there wasn't enough sugar content in there.
Yeah.
So they might not have I might have needed to use bread yeast, which is like the more bread focused yeast.
Did they say what kind of yeast you use?
They didn't say a brand.
They said instant.
Yeah. It does need salt as well. That's the other thing. Flavor wise, there's not enough oomph.
Yeah.
So I think more yeast or a different yeast in these conditions and more salt and more humidity.
Decent first pass though.
As you could see, we made a couple more bakes while we were letting the croissants develop. The first of which were the flaky cheese and pickle scones, which did nothing to hinder my now clearly unearned confidence throughout the croissant making process. Oh, and these are British scones, not American scones, so we're talking flaky layered biscuits, not dense, bulky cookies. It is day 1 cooking out of Sift by Nicola Lamb, our first ever pastry book.
Yeah.
And we're gonna kick things off with flaky cheese and pickle scones, which is one of the shortest recipes in the book, and it makes scones.
Should be about an hour. I'm excited to try a pickle scone.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's get cooking. It says get everything cold, and I mean cold. If you have time, put your dry ingredients in the freezer for 20 minutes before mixing.
Cool. I'll grate cheese.
Always check that it says baking powder, not baking soda. I've done that so many times.
All right, I've got your cheese split up into 2 equal halves.
Cut the butter. Shit, I didn't cut the butter.
Do you want me to cut the butter for you?
Yeah, can you cut the butter for me?
I really should have done this the opposite direction. Probably should have just worked all of it in at once.
You know what? Oh my god, this thing is so tall. I have to be on my tiptoes.
Just until you got a regular pieces.
Yep.
Don't forget the pickles. They should already be in there.
Okay.
Someone order pickles? Pickle delivery.
Okay, 30 seconds. I did it.
Try not to touch it too much so it's not too warm.
Okay.
Pretty big butter chunks. Working fast here and having a light touch is key.
Stick
Can
to
I have a
the-
scraper, please? Oh, you
Sure.
see that one there. I think this has to go in the fridge. It's been about 15 minutes. I think we were cold enough now. But the thing I was going to say is, I was supposed to put cheese on before the first fold. I'm worried that if we put too much on in between just one fold, we'll like separate the layers too much. So I think we need to do 2 more folds.
2 more folds?
Yeah.
Okay.
So roll it up, turn it sideways, roll it out.
Okay.
1 more. So if nothing else, we get too many layers and we end up getting smeary. But I think we're probably gonna be okay because there's quite a few big chunks.
Okay.
This-
Man, I'm so surprised that they don't have you like add any flour to this thing or just roll it out sticky. I just kind of want to use my fingers. Is that
Do it.
an option?
It doesn't say you have
Yeah.
to use your.
Okay. I feel like the rolling pin is just a little too heavy duty for what this dough wants. Okay. I'm gonna call that about as much as the dough will let me and stay cold.
Okay.
So I pour half of this on this.
Yep. And then do a single fold.
Like that.
Yep.
Then like that.
Yeah. Oven 450.
425. It smells really good. It smells like pickles and cheese. There we go. Time of death.
14 inches. Pat the dough into a rectangle around 1 inch high. Trim the edges and pat down slightly to get the dough back into proportion. That is colder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
6 squares. I think I'm gonna get rectangles though, because I squished it slightly further, you know? It does say to trim up the edges. So,
All right, these are going in the freezer.
yeah, 15 minutes. Egg wash, here we go. 2 eggs for an egg wash in this economy? In this egg economy? Gently brush the tops with egg wash if desired.
It is
And I
desired.
do desire it. Just the tops. Set a timer for scones for 12 minutes. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the first timer. It says 12 to 15 minutes, watch the color. The question is, what are we watching for? Are we
Yeah.
watching for it to be golden on the outside? Are we watching it for it to like catch potentially?
Right, because this
Are we
isn't the
worried that
last
it's not gonna be-
phase of it cooking. This
Right.
is the mid phase.
We're
before
gonna cut the
we
temperature, I assume, to cook the inside.
turn it down.
So I'm guessing we want to get close to the final color here.
I don't know. I would say If I had to guess, based on experience, I think what you're looking for is for like the edges to start to get golden brown.
We'll do it on vibes.
We're now at the point where they should be done, but they're looking pretty pale.
Which
It
I think
looks
the
a
darker
little
ones look nicer.
doughy still. But I can't tell if that's just the butter.
Or if it just hasn't cooled yet.
Yeah.
Like if it needs to cool to set.
You want to go a little longer?
I think
on
we
these?
have to go a little longer.
Okay.
They certainly don't seem like they're lacking in moisture.
Yeah.
So
Well, not yet anyway, but that butter is melting, or
right. I think we're probably looking at 5 to 7 more minutes.
I think this is it.
Here's the glam shot. Try a correct one first, huh?
A correct one?
Before I try my little nub.
Yeah, probably.
My instinct is always to eat the worst looking thing first.
Look at the layers are nice.
That's flaky like a biscuit. Mmm. The pickle is great.
Pickly, cheesy. I think the rye is adding a little bit of extra flavor too.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Nice and flaky.
Mm-hmm.
Pickle and cheese. So good.
Mm-hmm.
And butter.
We
Yum. I think this turned out really well.
We didn't overfold it, which is great. Certainly not dry.
No, not dry, but cooked.
Mm-hmm.
I think our instincts to like watch the corners
Mm-hmm.
for browning, and then once those turn golden, switching it was correct.
Focusing on the signals over the times, key.
Right.
As usual, I suppose. I want like cultured butter on that. Like a little more acid.
The egg wash
than
too.
heaven. Yeah.
It didn't really pool at the bottom. A little bit.
It did on 1 or 2 pieces.
But not
like, I
bad.
just pulled some off there. I think the other thing is that the cheese also melted down the sides.
Yeah.
And so you have like a more appetizing crust than you would get with just egg wash. That's a really great start to a book.
Worth the extra time for it to like get there.
I think around the middle section where I feel like I overhydrated the dough. And then again at the end, just like wrapping it up, I was feeling a little bit like, is this going to turn out right?
Yum.
Hell yeah. For our third recipe, we decided it was time for my very first pie crust, and luckily, Nicola catered to our very mild sweet tooth by offering us plenty of savory pastry options to choose from. So we picked the chicken pie with rich pastry. All right, so while Sarah's eating, we're doing day 2 of Sift. We've got the chicken pie with rich pastry on the menu, but we're gonna start with the crust for the chicken pie, which is a suet dough. However, we couldn't find suet anywhere nearby.
So we're using butter.
Because that is the option, shredded suet or butter.
Let's get cooking after I wash my hands and maybe clean off this cutting board.
For most of the pastry, I tried to use European butter so we'd have a higher fat percentage closer to what Nicola would be using. I'm sure she tested with grocery store butter, especially for the American version, because I know there's a lot of differences between the European and American versions. Have you ever made pie dough before?
Yeah.
Okay, I have not.
Oh, you haven't made pie dough before?
Nope.
Oh,
So
it's pretty easy.
I'm expecting it to be pretty easy based on those instructions.
Yeah, just don't overwork it. That's the thing. I think people try to like spread the butter too much, and having big chunks of butter is actually good.
So this is all my dry ingredients. I did a little measing while Sarah was in the shower. It's interesting to me that they're using vinegar. I've seen alcohol used before, but I've never seen vinegar used. And I wonder if that was like to counteract the suet flavor,
Oh, that could be.
which is, suet's supposed to be pretty mild, but it could be like slightly beefy.
Yeah.
I don't want to warm this up too much. Can I have the water and vinegar mixture, please? Okay, that's enough. This is the point where I could pull it together if I wanted to.
I'm backseat drive this pie dough.
Everyone loves that.
There.
I don't know how people do this solo when their hands are this greasy.
Most people get their stuff ready
Wow,
beforehand.
Sarah. What do you think, Fry? She calls for 3/4 inch lardon of bacon, which if it was a solid piece would be quite easy to do, but American bacon doesn't come like that. So these are gonna be thinner. I can make them 3/4 inch wide, but they're gonna be like 1/8 inch thick. Back started hurt from leaning over this shit. So that's all the ingredients we need for the entire day, I think. There's some really nice details where like you use half the stick of celery for the stock, and then half the stick of celery for the filling. That's nice, so you don't end up just like having half a stalk left. But then use half an onion and then a leek, like a whole leek. Like, why not just use the other half of the onion?
Oh, I see.
It's
what
like
you're
so similar.
saying. Okay, so this has to simmer for 20 minutes. You smell the bacon? Brad, can you get down, please? Remove the chicken. Yeah, I think we have enough liquid there.
Do you want me to roll out your pie dough?
Sure.
I'm really hesitant to put like any flour on these things because I'm worried that I'm gonna like make
Overdo
them too
it.
stiff.
Yeah.
It's about 65 degrees in here and the marble counter is pretty cold. So the
Yeah.
fact that it's sticking is surprising to me. I just need to get it slightly wider so it can fully line the pie tin. It's just literally getting so sticky on the bottom as I work with it.
He's like, no, come play with me.
On an inch of overhang. I think we got close to an inch, sometimes over, sometimes under. This part is not enough, that's for sure. This is the thicker part, like this part's definitely thinner. So I've got a little room to wiggle. Okay, this might be a pie that leans slightly towards one side. I'm new here. Okay, I'm gonna chuck this in the fridge. Oh, I forgot to grease the pie dish. I did have to fix the corners a little bit because I had not put them all the way down in the front, which y'all probably saw, but I did not.
Okay, that has to simmer for a couple minutes.
Okay, whenever that's ready, I think we're good to go on this.
Nice.
And chuck it in the oven. Should I put these back in the fridge then? Probably.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think we are good on this. I'm gonna cut the heat. Fry, get down. Come on.
Off.
I blame us.
This looks lovely.
Yeah, I think it is gonna turn out okay. Wait, how would you do this?
I'm gonna go wide boys this way, and then short boys, or like thin boys
I
that
think
way.
that's right, but the way that I've seen it is like one of the thick boys goes here and the other one goes here, and then you put two here, and then you put the remaining ones like in between them, like you fold stuff up and put them in. Okay, don't worry about that yet, because I think you have to fold that stuff
Oh.
up.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so not yet.
See, pie expert.
Yeah, pie expert over here.
She says do a lattice, and if I can make it work, that's good enough.
I wish that there were more direction on like how she does a lattice. I even tried to find a video of her doing a lattice. Nothing.
It's lattice.
I think that works, yeah. I just think you're trimming off too much, but
I would never.
okay.
I'm trimming it to where like these.
Yeah, but
pieces
you
end.
have to be able to like crimp it.
I know.
So you need a little extra. It's your pie. I want you to make a pie.
I'm making it stand up. It's like this.
It's a beautiful
Bryn,
pie.
it's like this.
It's a beautiful pie, Bryn.
Bryn, it's like this.
It is like that.
Bryn, it's like this. And voila.
It's beautiful.
Perfection.
It's so beautiful.
Wow. That'll do. All right, now an hour in the oven. Look at that bad boy.
Ooh.
Can't even tell I fucked up the edges.
You got some really nice layers in here, it looks
Yeah.
like.
We're rolling through Bryn's first scones, pie,
Scones, pie.
pastry. So far, it's looking pretty fucking good and it's feeling pretty easy. I'm gonna give Nicola the credit for that.
Yeah, you should definitely give the author the credit for this.
Woo, you hear that crisp?
Butter, tarragon, chicken. That's what I'm getting. I think it could use a little more salt,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
but
Needs a little more seasoning.
the caraway's nice. Still delicate. You get the like crispy layers on top still. Adding a little bit of salt helps.
Mm-hmm.
The bacon is nice.
Yeah, the bottom is like, while it's tender, it's still got structure to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yum.
This is great.
So easy too.
The crust,
Oh,
I mean, I guess all of it is pretty easy.
all of it was easy. Yeah.
It just takes time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like, as long as you're patient,
Yeah.
this doesn't seem even difficult.
Something like this is a thing that you could make during the weekend and then throw it in the fridge and then bake it
Yeah, she
on
says
like
you
a
can.
Monday.
Yeah, she says you can do it right out of the freezer.
Yeah. So you could make it
Just
early
add
if you
20
have
minutes.
time.
Yeah.
You could easily make it early and then have it for when you need it.
I'm perfectly happy with my short edges. Smash?
Yeah, smash.
Like,
I don't think it's a hard smash because it's a little too like samey for me.
if I'm being very
But-
critical about
Smash for
the
sure.
flavors, like they're not like my favorite flavors, but the pastry was the point for me. And that was so easy. I would say the pastry is a hard smash.
Pastry's hard smash for sure.
The filling is good, not great.
Yeah. I would like a little more flavor in the chicken.
I just think it's a very like British take on this.
Extremely British.
Which I mean, pot pie kind of is anyway.
Yeah.
Which that just doesn't tend to be the flavor profile I look for. No criticism, just not for me.
I will happily eat this though for dinner.
Yeah. Moving away from layered pastry, we dove into choux, a paste-based form of pastry known for its penchant for puffiness. Our final day of croissants overlapped with the first brand new recipe we'd never even heard of before and our fourth overall. Stewed plum and mascarpone Karpatka, essentially a custard and jam filled mound of choux that sounded delicious and looked incredible in the photo, but had a very small amount of active cooking time, which was perfect for juggling with the croissants we were now becoming justifiably concerned about. It's day 3 cooking out of Sift, and today we're making the plum and mascarpone Karpatka, which appears to be an early favorite based on Nicola's comments. However, Nicola makes a big deal about using seasonal ingredients, and this recipe calls for stewed plums made with fresh plums. Those are not in season right now. There's a note right in the middle. You can also use your favorite jam in the middle of this. So we are going to do that instead.
Yep.
However, we don't have a favorite jam because we're not really jam people. So we got a few and we're gonna taste test them and then decide what to use.
We got 2.
That's a few. It says flaky salt.
Oh, flaky salt.
62, that's a big egg. We need the mascarpone at room temp.
Oh, we do?
Yep.
Okay. I get It's gonna fight me. Ugh.
You're so like chaotic with how you pour stuff to get measurements.
Look, it got there.
I try and be like
exactly.
as gentle and consistent as possible, and you're like bleep, bleep. Do you want me to get it, you fucking weirdo?
No, I got it. I don't need a man.
Yeah, you just need an extra foot or so.
Let me get it. Let me get it. Let me get it. Get out of here.
That went terribly. I did not get a good grip on you, and your apron slid immediately.
Oh, shit.
Sarah. You just launched it down the side of it because you reacted so strongly. Blackberry jam or bergamot marmalade. Citrus just sounded very springy to me, which I thought was like a way to keep it seasonal. Bergamot's pretty nice. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna stir. You add it in.
Stir rapidly until a smooth paste forms and a dry film is formed. If you have a probe thermometer, check it reaches 185. There we go. We're way past 185 now.
It says when you can touch the paste comfortably for 10 seconds, start to add the eggs. So I think once it cools down, we move it into here.
Yep.
I think the bergamot's too bitter. I think I would go more blackberry.
Yeah, blackberry's good.
Okay, blackberry it is.
Get in there.
She does say you can
This
use a
is
stand
pretty
mixer for
annoying
this.
to do by hand. It's like a lot of hand strain.
It should slowly drop off. It needs to be thick but pipeable.
Oh, 8-inch round pans.
Here we go. Everybody who's made this before is probably like, what the fuck are you doing?
Free hand in a circle.
Can I do this one?
Clever girl. We need to make the mascarpone custard.
Well, I'll be here to read directions to you.
I don't need them.
Cook for 3 to 4 minutes on medium heat until boiling, whisking the whole time. Pour into a clean container, then set aside to cool.
This smells exactly like the tapioca pudding my mom used to make.
Really?
Like the smell of scorched milk is so comforting.
You want it to be totally cold and firm before continuing with this recipe is all it says.
Oof. Those are looking pretty nice.
Yours got a lot of like lift on the one side.
Yeah. There's Sarah's. Pretty much perfect. Mine looks drier too, interestingly.
We'll just use yours as the bottom.
Get off.
Hello. Hi, buddy. Can you get down?
Shoot.
Everything is fully cooled.
So this is just supposed to break it up, which it seems like not really an issue. Put in the mascarpone now. It says you can do this in the stand mixer. So all I did was like break up any lumps.
There's some mascarpone on the bottom that's not really well incorporated.
Oh, I see, yeah. Just that one spot it looks like.
So it says we can chill this until we're ready to use it, but I think we're ready to use it.
Yeah, let's just use it.
Half of this goes in first. It's not like as light and airy as hers looks. So I'm wondering if it like needed to be like beaten or something.
Yeah. Does she say anything about the texture that you're looking for with this?
It's supposed to be like a thick cream,
Oh,
which I would say it kind of is a thick cream.
What are you doing?
Oof.
So I think this is going to be a little more about the flavor than the texture, because I don't think the texture is right, but I don't think that you did anything.
I think the cream texture is too loose, which could be that it needs to set much longer. We set it for the hour-long time. We could put it back in and go by signals and see if it lasts longer.
Yeah.
They said about an hour, so it could be that it just isn't in there long enough. But it also looks a lot denser than what she's got.
Right.
Hers looks much lighter. So I'm thinking that maybe there was like some more aeration that needed to be done, because that's what
That
it
would be
looks
my
like.
guess. My guess is we didn't aerate it enough.
This is giving breakfast for dessert. Like it's like
Because
pancakey.
it's very pancakey.
Yeah. Pretty good though, flavor-wise. I like the choux texture as well. Like that's a fun blend of textures. I think if this was like whipped custard, it would be nicer.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
feel
Even
like
if
I
it
could-
is a little dense.
I feel like I could solve for this issue if I was like freestyling it. I really like the acidity of the blackberry with it. I think that was a good choice. And it doesn't feel that far off from plums. I forgot to dust our Karpatka with powdered sugar yesterday. So, oops.
Yeah. All right. This has been overnight, so
So it should be fully set if it is possible to do so.
it's just so squishy.
Yeah.
It squishes out so easy.
Quite a bit firmer inside. It's like a very soft cheesecake to me.
It is kind of like eating a very sweet pancake or like crepe.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, crepey for sure.
Yeah.
Most of our friends have stronger sweet teeth than we do.
Mm.
So I think it would be a good like dinner thing.
I think it's definitely better the first day than it
Oh
is
yeah, I wouldn't make it like in advance
the next day.
because this is quite a bit
Well,
softer.
I think this is the question that people are going to have. Could I make this and then serve it the next day?
Oh yeah, no.
I don't think this is one of those. I think this is one that you have to like make it the day of. I think you could make the individual components the
Yeah.
day before.
I
Like
think
I
so,
think
too.
that the shoe could last
Mm-hmm.
the day before, but I think you'd have to build it that day. I'm going to say pass on the Karpatka. It's just too sweet.
As written, I think I'm a light smash because I do think it's good and I would eat more of it, except I think the texture's off and I think it needs some instruction on how to correct that. Keeping with the shoe theme, we moved on to Crullers, which are objectively the best donut. They're far more texturally interesting than both cake and yeasted donuts, and Nicola has some very fun flavor recommendations. The downside is piping, but we made it our 5th recipe anyway.
It's day 4 cooking out of Sift. Today we're making Crullers. We've already made choux for the Karpatka.
It's
Wow.
the same process.
It's the same exact process. So we're not going to put you through having to watch us make choux again. But we are going to have you watch us make the 3 different glazes for these Crullers. They've got a black and blue glaze, which is like a berry, spicy hibiscus, sugar.
Sounds awesome.
Sounds great. And then the vanilla cinnamon glaze. We're going to make all 3.
Hell yeah. It's gonna
Hell yeah.
go real fast. I made stencils for piping.
Yeah. Good job, Red.
Listen, I know myself. I know I need stencils.
All right. Let's get cooking. I'm gonna use my hands.
Can make my berries black and blue, Sarah. The hibiscus powder and chili is getting me.
Oh my god. Ugh.
What happened to your cute little sneeze? You just go, chew.
I'm getting older, Red.
The day we died of hibiscus exposure.
This looks like period blood. A lot of clots.
Oh my god, I've inhaled just too much stuff.
I think that's pretty good.
All right, I'm gonna start working on the shoe.
Do it.
How'd you feel about Crullers as a kid? Like that was the last time I had a
Oh,
Cruller.
Crullers were my favorite donuts.
Same, the best texture.
Boop.
Smush the paste to try to reduce pesky air bubbles. Deborah. Ooh, that's cool. How much do we care if they're ugly? Can I? Oh God, it's so ugly. I thought I was doing something.
Somehow worse.
I thought I was really doing something. Now I just got made a scrunchie. This is not as fun.
Okay, let me do one.
Fuck you. I feel like it almost needs to be like multiple layers of thin.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
Hopefully it expands a lot and just like kind of fixes itself. All right, we are at temp. Oh my God, fucking get out of there. I mean, they do puff really nicely. These are looking much cuter than the last couple.
Here we go. We've got our donuts.
Should we glam shot this bitch?
Yeah, here.
Well, these are not really glam shots, I guess.
Pre-glazed.
Okay, so this is the death sugar that gassed us.
This is the spicy.
Yeah, hibiscus.
I feel like we
Chili.
should have done this one, or this one while it was still hot.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Sorry, that was a bad idea.
Listen, I'm not mad at you, but like, it sucks in here right now.
Ugh.
Yep. Oh, I glazed myself. Okay, texture. Looking pretty nice. Definitely like lightly eggy flavor. Look at how big those bubbles are though.
That's a cruller.
Vanilla cinnamon sugar, pretty easy win.
I love how light crullers are. Not super sweet.
I didn't get much flavor from that. Need a little bit more, I think. I'm mostly getting lemon from it, honestly.
Okay.
It's not bad.
I don't hate that though.
Yeah, nice little berry situation. Let's try the devil sugar. I didn't get much of that, honestly.
I don't think the hibiscus sugar is worth the agony.
I fucking love hibiscus though. So I really want that one to work. I think I just need to get a lot more on a bite. I'm really trying to get the hibiscus flavor in and I'm not
Yeah.
getting it.
I don't
I
get
can
any of it.
smell it, but I can't taste it.
The worst part is you inhale it
There it is.
and then you die.
It's not a strong hibiscus flavor though, which is a bummer because I love hibiscus.
I think hard smash. These are so good. And the dough is really easy to come together too. I think
Using
that's
a slightly
helpful.
stiffer spatula made all the difference. And also I checked the temperature like really early on instead of like waiting a minute and it was like already up to temp. So it ended up being like way, way faster than the first time.
The more I eat this berry one, the more I like it.
Yeah.
Some nice acid.
We have eaten all of them except for these three now. Oh, when they're set, they're even better. I just get like warm cinnamon,
Warm
and then like a
cinnamon.
backing note of like vanilla and powdered sugar.
Yep.
But the powdered sugar is not like overwhelming in flavor. It's just like slightly eggy, which is the one thing I could do without. But I know that that structure doesn't occur without that. But it's so light and airy.
So light.
devil sugar. Nice and glossy on the inside. That's pretty good. But it is very light, very
Extremely
faint
light.
hibiscus flavor.
Somewhat spice.
If you've never had hibiscus, it's like lightly citrusy, but like somewhat floral on top of that. I do get a little bit of the acid, but not enough of the floral thing that like identifies it as hibiscus. If you told me this was like lightly citric acid powder, I would believe you. You know, I'm just getting that like
Yeah.
citric-y thing. I feel like if you skipped the chili or worked with like pre-ground cayenne or something like that, that might be easier to avoid this whole like inhalation issue. Or maybe you could do it with like a mortar and pestle to minimize the amount of like
Stuff that you're getting.
propelling it
you're
into
tossing
the
up.
air. Do you want blueberry or blackberry?
Blackberry.
I think both the
Ooh, those are good.
vanilla cinnamon and the berry black and blue glaze is what it's called.
Yeah.
Are hard smashes. I would reduce the lemon slightly in the black and blue and we'd be perfect. I just like want a little more of that berry oomph.
Totally.
And then the hibiscus, I want more hibiscus and like slightly less chili, but the cost of making it is a little high.
Because you gas yourself. I think I agree with you. My favorite is the vanilla and cinnamon, though.
But the crullers were excellent.
so
really easy.
So
That
easy.
flew by. Like
Yeah.
that took no time at all.
Yep.
From making the choux from scratch to frying was a little under an hour and a half.
Yep.
That was easy as fuck. That was great. And I think you could really batch that up pretty easily. Set them up for a party. You'd go through them.
Yeah, we'll be making those again for sure.
Despite the environmental hazards, these quickly got folded into our repertoire, and we've ended up making crullers a couple times since. They're an incredibly convenient base for experimenting with flavors for both coatings and fillings. Moving on to our 6th recipe, we picked one that I'd actually earned my confidence with: milk bread. I've spent months testing and developing milk bread recipes that I'm incredibly proud of. Nicola put a very interesting and literal twist on the formula by turning it into a savory babka full of charred green onions and caramelized soy sauce.
It's day 5 cooking out of Sift. Today we're making the milk bread green onion babka. All right, let's get cooking.
First things first with milk bread, you gotta make something called a tangjong, which is going to, I think, make the crumb lighter and make it stale slower. So tangjong is also known as a water roux, and you basically like turn it into a starch thickened custard that we're then gonna put into our dough.
It's supposed to be like pudding, I guess is the texture.
That's usually what I look for. Hers is a bit smoother than mine, which may be the milk at work.
Yeah, could be. Okay, let's do a window pane test. Very fragile. Will stretch. Definitely not to the point where it's gonna like stay together, but it will stretch. So I think we're there. She says you could do more, but this is the minimum requirement for the next step. Let's see if we've got our full gluten development. I think we have to go like the 2 more minutes that it needs. Let's let it rest for 5 minutes, I think, and then let it go again for 5 minutes.
You can see light through it.
That feels good to me. We haven't used our oven on its proof setting before, so.
Always love to introduce variables when we can't do anything about them. All right, I'll make the green onion shit. You okay?
Dropping everything today.
Holy sulfur. Wow.
In the onions?
Yeah, smell it. It's like intense.
That's a smell.
Like the oil separated out of the rice,
Oh.
which is pretty interesting. It's very hot, but if you want to try something, it's like an onion jam. Just be careful, it's very hot.
I think that'll be tasty.
I think that's already rolled out enough.
Well, I just want to fuck with it.
Cool. I'm starting to feel like I should do this with my hands, but they're gonna get really gross really fast.
To make it easier.
Yep.
Is it supposed to cover the whole surface?
All over the dough, followed by the sesame seeds.
All over the dough.
Yeah, so I think a pretty even layer. So it's not like a lot of onion per se.
This is your babka.
The problem is that there's a lot of oil
Look,
that's going to spill out if I do that.
This is your babka.
So we got layers, baby.
Nice and tight.
You're nice and tight. Didn't mean it like that. Now, one of these has really become the core that the other one's just wrapped around, which is not quite what I'm thinking it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Aw, Bryn's first babka.
Sick.
The directions for this were pull it when it starts to get poofy, and our babka is now poofy enough that it's hitting the top of our saran wrap. So I'm thinking this is where we're gonna call it. So I'm gonna brush it with some egg wash and toss it in the oven.
This has been cooling for about 20 minutes. We're pretty well cool, at least on the outside. Let's see what we got here. Okay, not a lot of coverage there.
Definitely.
Let's see where we end up, like a little bit further in though. Woo!
It is underproofed.
Yes.
The directions threw me off a little bit.
It just is until puffed, so like you weren't necessarily checking for like a classic proof.
Right. I mean, it's still pretty good.
It's a nice like bitter onion flavor. I think I should put more soy sauce in because I didn't account for all the bread it would have to season as well. Classic mistake.
It's very burnt. Not the bread itself, but the onion is burnt onion. So you kind of have to like that caramely.
Yeah, there's a bitter note and then there's a caramely note.
Caramely bitter
Nice to
note,
it.
yeah.
The salt and sugar work well with it. The sesame is fine.
Oh.
I think I would go actually a little more into the caramel notes just to offset some of the bitterness and add a little more salt.
Yeah, it does need a little more salt. But I think, to your point, just adding more soy would be it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think the soy flavor is my favorite part of it, but it's very minimal, and having that carry through would be even better.
Yeah.
I also think I could have stopped cooking the green onions a little bit early, just thinking about like what's gonna happen to them in the oven as well.
Right.
Whereas like I took them all the way, like she said, I think I would probably pull back just a little bit. I'm so curious what a sandwich made on this bread would taste like. Like grilled cheese or like a fried chicken sandwich with this are both like very
Dude, I
interesting.
bet fried chicken would be very good with this.
Because I think you could take this like, it's just like a nice sweet, bitter component for something savory.
Smash.
We did in fact end up making grilled cheese with that babka for the next day, and it was one of the best ideas we've ever had. The onion and soy and cheese worked perfectly together.
I need a cigarette.
Our seventh recipe was Nicola's secret chocolate cake, which lived up to its name because it actually contains several secrets.
Today we're making the secret chocolate cake from Sift by Nicola Lamb.
The secret is,
Raisins.
well, it's that batter is split in half. One half is baked as a cake, and the other half is set as a mousse inside the cake. And then there's raisins.
And then there's raisins in between. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's get cooking. Where are the raisins? In here?
Up your butt. Those are big boys.
They are
Holy
big.
shit.
Nature's candy.
We gotta soak these in 100 grams of Sauterne, which is a dessert wine. Nestled in between the layers are Sauterne soaked raisins, so you could swap these for brandied cherries, yuck, or whatever might take your fancy. What could take our fancy instead?
I don't know. We couldn't think of anything. If you got ideas, let us know. We couldn't think of anything, so we're just gonna do it the way it's written. And taste it, and then maybe that will inspire us to think of something else.
It's like Welch's.
Woo-hoo-hoo. That's syrupy.
Circumference is pi r squared, right?
2 times pi times radius.
2 pi r. Got it. That sounds right. We couldn't find a loose bottom pan.
Which is what this calls for. So we ended up just getting a full bottom pan.
This pan's got ass. So much butter. There's no flour in this recipe at all.
Flourless.
It's like a mousse cake. This is the base of the cake, and then we're gonna fold meringue into it. That looks pretty custardy. Like if I'm going by the audible description, that feels like it's in the same ballpark.
It looks like something it did not incorporate well because the butter is all splitting.
Well, let's see where we get.
I
quite.
think that's, yeah, more
A little
like
soft, yeah. That's a medium.
I'd say that's a medium.
There she is. Distribute it just a little bit first so we don't get chunks. I think that's clever.
Are you getting tired yet?
No. Keeping the air in but getting everything distributed evenly is very challenging. I'm worried that I'm just like doing way too much.
Ready?
Go off, queen. I'm not feeling good about how this came together in terms of cleanliness. I'm gonna eyeball half. 20 to 22 minutes. No jiggle per se. It's definitely dried out on top. All the signals she gave are there. Now we have to let it dry for the same amount, or cool for the same amount of time until we can handle the pan. So sprinkle them on. I'm gonna like manually distribute them because I want to make sure they're like pretty evenly distributed.
Mine anyway.
Yeah.
You can get that side.
No, you can do it. It's fine. A little grape chocolate. Now we can go in with our mousse.
All right, cool. So then this goes in the fridge for
That's
overnight?
pretty good. Yes.
All right, next day. Woohoo!
Next day, we are going to unpan our now frozen mousse cake. It froze for about half an hour, so it should just be a little bit frozen.
Does it say to tip it upside down to do that?
Well, we don't have a loose bottom pan,
Oh,
so this
okay.
is the way that we have.
Let's take a knife and like loosen the sides a little bit so that we can like get it out.
Okay. We could not find a loose bottom pan. We tried.
Sounds
That
like
is
it
released,
released. Okay, now flip it quick. Okay, we only lost a little bit of the top. That's not too bad. I was worried we were gonna lose a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty.
Get that spot.
The microest of management. The mousse is really nice. I really like the mousse. The cake is a little bit stodgy for me. Like it's very together.
I mean, there's no flour in it, so you're
Right.
gonna get like a thicker cake. I kind of like it though. It's like fudge. Have you ever had fudge?
It's like a dry fudge.
Yeah.
It's like crumbly.
Like dense.
Yeah. It's very dense.
I actually kind of like the raisins with it because the raisins aren't super sweet anymore. I think it's more of a textural thing.
I think if I made it again, I would go for a different textural thing, is all.
Like a toffee crunch kind of thing.
No, I'd go for nuts. Absolutely.
Oh, rice, like a puffed rice.
That
I
would
think
be, yeah, that's
kind of
exactly.
nice.
I want like
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
crunchy crispy would be great. I just don't need more sweetness in this. I think I want like a different contrasting flavor and texture. I think peanuts would be great. I could see like a peanut brittle, but like anything moving in the sugary direction is probably gonna overload this cake for me.
See, I think that the chocolate is bitter enough that the sweetness of the raisins is kind of nice. And I do agree with you that I think nuts would also be good in this.
I'm getting a little
Like
bit
a walnut
like,
would be nice too.
I'm getting the cloying thing where like it's like coating my mouth with like sugariness. That's my one downside of this whole thing.
I see.
And so like adding more sugar just doesn't help me.
Yeah. I think this tastes so good that you could sell it. Regardless of like shaping, you'd have to work on,
You just gotta come for me every 5 seconds.
but you could
Roast
sell,
me, Sarah.
You could sell this.
I do think the flavor is really good. I think the only issue I have
No.
is that like mouth coating thing. I would like it to like release a
I
little
don't
bit
get
easier.
that as much, but
My mouth is just coated right now.
really? I think the mousse is helping me.
I think the mousse is what's coating my mouth.
Really? I don't get that.
I want it to like, I want to taste it and then have it go away, but it's like really lingering.
This I would be like stoked to share with friends or like at a dinner party or something.
I was just thinking like, who could we have over to like give them some of this?
Yeah.
Because I think people would love it.
This keeps in a fridge up to 3 days. You can also store it in the freezer for 30 days. This is a good one. She
on to the
doesn't say
next bit.
anything about making this like, I'm assuming this is whipped cream on the side.
Yeah, it does say whipped cream right there, whipping cream, but I didn't see any.
Yeah, there's no direction for making that. So I'm assuming that you would have to think to make that on your own.
Actually, I do think flaky salt on top of this would be nice too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yum. Tasty.
I'm gonna chop this up and take it to some neighbors.
And our neighbor said it was definitely a smash, then abruptly moved out, so you be the judge. Back in review land, we're moving on to a Linzer tort, which is apparently the oldest pastry ever to be named after a place, Linz, Austria. The oldest known recipe is from 1653. It's a short crust whose defining feature is the addition of grated, hard-boiled egg yolks. But despite it being old as fuck, it was another thing neither of us had ever made, so for our 8th recipe, we decided to correct that.
Today we are making the Parmesan and Tomato Linzer
From Sift.
from Sift by Nicola Lamb. It's gonna be a lot of tomato jam making, and then everything else should go really fast, I think.
I've got a bunch of editing to do, so I'm gonna be editing and I'm gonna let you do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go jam these tomatoes.
Great.
So these yellow tomatoes are like nice and acidic, and the dark red one is like very sweet, and then the light red one is a pretty typical. So we should get a nice acid out of those 3 yellow ones. That's like the main thing I want in this jam, so like it can stand up to the sugar. Had to peel tomatoes in a long time. Yeah, I'm gonna let these cool for a little bit. Man, I haven't made real jam in so long. Okay, so it says to basically cover these and let them collapse. We don't want to put a lot of color on them. So keeping the lid on will steam them and hopefully prevent a little bit of caramelization. We'll just keep an eye on them, but this is going to be like a pretty hands-off process. As soon as that's done, I'm going to add in my tomatoes, my sugar, my vinegar, and bay leaves, bring to a boil, and then just go for like 3 hours. I'll catch up with you if there's something interesting, but there probably won't be a lot. It has been 2 hours and 45 minutes out of our 3 hours allotted. And so we're gonna blend in some butter and some salt. I'm gonna let that cool, and I might finish this tomorrow. I did not sleep well last night and I'm getting pretty tired. I don't really know that I have another hour and a half in me for making pie.
Today we're making the crust.
This should go pretty quickly. It says it's like 30 minutes to mix the pastry in shape.
I mean, we'll see. We still have to boil some eggs, so that's going to take a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hard-boiled eggs, so
Yeah.
weird.
I'm going to get cooking. I wonder if I could use this to like cut it.
No.
Let me try.
Through the paper.
Let me try.
I can't tell if this is genius or insane.
Look at that, slide right off. Maybe we hold on to this. This is our butter cutter. Do you want an olive?
Yeah.
I don't even love olives.
No.
That is sulfury. One yolk. Come here, you want to try some egg white? It's like a powder. I wonder if this is too fine. Let's try this. It's like trying to shove Play-Doh through a sieve. This is going through much faster. There we go. Now we can start making the pie. We're there. We're ready. Nice and soft and smooth. Yolk and the cheese. That's pretty good. And then we just stir this stuff in until a dough forms. I'm gonna dump all the olives in, but we'll call that about half.
You got a thick bit. You need tempo.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's 3/4 inch. Put it into the freezer and chill. Press the remaining dough into the greased heart ring. Press. Feels like it's a lot of crust. Stop fucking with it. I'm adding stuff.
I will never.
Man, I feel like there should be more of this in here, but okay. All right, so I have to get these out. No wonder they said carefully. 3, 1, 2, 3. Squish the edges of the pastry case with the lattice. Like squish the lattice down into the case. Chill while the oven preheats. Caraway seeds. Let's see what happens.
Still quite hot. Let me get the bottom out.
If you can get to a place where you can just hold the center, then that should just fall.
Oh,
Just gonna, he just goes for it.
all right.
Look at that. Ooh.
That smells like tomato, that's
Let
for
me-
sure.
I'm most curious about that egg in the crust.
I mean, you wouldn't guess there's egg in that crust. I actually really like that.
Wow. It's so crumbly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just dissolves.
Strong Parmesan flavor. Caraway is surprising.
The caraway's, I think I put extra caraway on. She said sprinkle it on top,
Listen,
so I was like,
I'm
what?
not mad about it. The look is great. The flavor was like, not off-putting at first, but it's surprising, you know?
Mm. Okay, so it's sweet-ish tomato. The caraway comes through and gives it like a bitterness
It's pretty savory,
to balance
though.
out that sweetness. And then you get I get the Parmesan. I don't get any of the olive, but
I'm getting like Parmesan Cheez-It. Like, that's the kind of vibe.
yeah. And the crumbliness of the crust is the thing that's the most surprising.
I do think that while this is technically a tomato jam, it definitely tastes more like a pasta sauce or something like
It
that.
does taste like a pasta sauce.
To me, it reminds me a lot of Marcella Hazan's tomato sauce that has butter and tomato sauce.
An onion, but a whole
Yeah,
onion.
right. So like it's all those flavors. There is definitely like sugar, but I think the sugar's there for like body. It's not giving a lot of sweetness.
I taste sweetness.
I'm just not getting like this is jam.
Oh.
It's more like this is a sweet sauce.
I think, well, tomato jam is usually kind of like a sweet savory thing. And I think this is a tomato jam.
Okay. Most of them that I've had have been like sweeter than ketchup. This is not that for me. That crust is great.
It's so crumbly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it dissolves.
Yeah, it doesn't turn gummy or anything like that. It just like
Disintegrates.
breaks down. Yeah, it's really nice. I think Cheez-It is actually like very aligned with how I feel about that. I like that a lot.
It's a smash for sure. I'd be happy to bring this over to like a brunch or something.
Mm-hmm. This is a fun one. This is way more fun than I thought it would be.
Because you didn't have to make any of the crust.
One, like a jam tart doesn't sound appealing to me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
two, I think tomato jam is the worst form of tomato, generally speaking.
I
All of
really
this
like
works
tomato
so well
jam.
for me.
You know what would work really well with this, I bet? Goat cheese.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Do you want some?
I think goat cheese might be the thing that this needs. It needs like a funk.
We've got some marinated goat cheese right here that would be
Yeah. Let's try a little
pretty
bit.
choice. That sounds fucking delicious. Mmm. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That's a hard smash. Like
Yep.
all the
That's
acids
it.
there,
It's
the salt,
creamy, balances.
the herbs,
Yep.
everything's there. Oh,
That's the thing.
that's incredible.
I bet if you like whipped some goat cheese up into like a mousse or something and just like squirted it
You're so bougie sometimes.
sometimes.
Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, goat cheese.
Fuck yeah, goat cheese. Honestly, that should be its motto. Fuck yeah, goat cheese.
Everything else was so easy except for the fucking yolks.
But it seems like it was worth it.
But it was worth it. Damn it.
Damn it. I hate it when it's worth it.
Damn it, I hate it when the extra effort is worth it.
Strips of egg-based dough and tomato jam that taste like pasta sauce. More like tartiatelli, am I right? We were going to make the apricot millefeuille for our 9th recipe, but ultimately it was just too early in the season for ripe apricots when I went to the farmer's market to get them. But there were flats upon flats of strawberries, so we switched tracks to make the very first recipe in the book, the roasted strawberry Victoria sponge, complete with a creme fraiche whipped cream that sounded right up our alley. Today, out of Sift by Nicola Lamb, we are making the roasted strawberry Victoria sponge. It's like the first recipe in the book. It looks delicious. It was the first one I marked up. I've been excited about this for weeks. And now we're here.
Now we're here. I'll start making the cake and you can
Sick.
start doing the strawberries.
Chopping straws. You got it.
Did she say to use these egg whites for anything? Maybe the whipping? No. Man, there's one yolk in here that does not want to break down. Sift together the flour and baking powder. 17 grams of baking powder is a lot of baking powder. All right, I'm gonna start creaming. I think I'm gonna call it there. Otherwise, I fear that it's gonna get a little too aerated. $475 to 500 grams per. Start with 475.
500 each.
Boom.
Great. I assume we don't want to push too much air out of them.
Sarah, you're taking all the cake.
Oh my God, Bryn, it's fine. Sprinkle one cake with 25 grams of sugar. Damn, it's so much sugar. We're still going.
All right, let's get these bad boys in. All right, so our cakes are out and looking good. I need to throw the strawberries in, and I got a whole case of strawberries the other day. So I'm just gonna do a double, and we're gonna use half for this recipe and half for future stuff. And then we're gonna roast these for 40 minutes, and that's really it. Nice and simple.
Time to get these out on a wire rack.
Okay, strawberries are out, they're cooling off. They're a little jammy, but they're like kind of caramely as well, which is interesting. I need to break these into half and then make some whipped cream, and then we're almost there. Like that's almost complete. This is a crazy low amount of energy. Final stages, we're making some creme fraiche whipped cream. Creme fraiche whipped cream seems like such an inherently good idea. I'm very excited to try this. That's not it yet. I think that's it. I think we're there. Now, Nicola's instructions are very concerned about splurging, like it overflowing the sides. I'm not super worried about that, but I'll try and follow the instructions anyway. Get these roasted strawberries on. Try and spread them out so we get like a little bit in each piece of cake. Not all of them are pretty. Learning how to cut this one on the fly.
Ooh. So much whipped cream.
Cake's really nice.
Oh, that whipped cream is so delicate, so airy, so light, so fluffy. I was really worried that you'd be able to taste a lot of baking powder in the cake. I guess by itself there is a little bit of a leavener component to it.
The cake might be a touch dry.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think I let it go a little too long.
It just doesn't have that like oily thing that cake often has.
But I was really leaning on the signal of it like pulling away. And when I first checked it, it wasn't doing that. So I was like, oh, we'll give it the 5 minutes because that's what she said. If it's not done, give it 5 minutes. And I think what I should have done was probably given it like 3 minutes initially and then like worked my way up to 5. But I think 5 was just like over.
The sugar crackle top is a really nice textural balance.
Yeah, I do like that. All in all, I really enjoy this. It's light, it's fluffy. The cream is so good with it.
The creme fraiche in it, I think goes really well with the strawberries. Adds a little acid that cuts through all the sweetness. I think overall, like a really lovely composition. I like the jammy strawberries, although I kind of wish there was just more.
Yeah, I do wish there was a little more strawberry flavor. You get like hits of it every once in a while, but it's not.
It's really concentrated. When you get one, it's so concentrated that like it may not matter. It just feels like maybe what I want is like fresh strawberry in with it.
Maybe, yeah.
So there's more acid.
I think just more strawberry in general
Yeah.
would be nice because it's a lot of cake.
I think if you had a lot of those roasted ones though, they're so intense and so
Yeah,
sweet,
right.
so jammy, that I think actually a fresh strawberry might be a good counterpoint to it. Maybe just like thin slices or something. I like this a lot. Easily a smash, borderline hard smash. I think if it were a little bit less baked, it would be a hard smash for me,
Yeah.
and maybe some fresh strawberries. Because I just want a little more of that like ripe strawberry flavor.
Yep.
I might have more of that.
It's really good. I'm trying to figure out who we offer some of this to.
Ha! Fun fact, I drove that cake over to a friend's house, and despite the top layer sliding completely off of the bottom layer in transit, they haven't stopped telling us how much they loved it. For our final recipe, we went for the nostalgia with a childhood favorite. If you've ever had an ice cream Snickers, you know they're better than they have any right to be. And Nicola's got a bougie gourmetification that looks like a step up from the classic. Malt semifreddo, dark chocolate, we're sold.
All right, our final recipe from Sift is going to be chocolate peanut ice cream bars. And today I'm just getting the malt semifreddo ready, which is the bulk of the ice cream bar. It's basically a frozen Snickers, if you've ever had one of those. And I think it's going to kick ass. But the semifreddo has to freeze for 4 hours, which means we're not going to finish it today. It's a 2-part semifreddo, if you're not familiar, meringue plus whipped cream frozen. And you basically get something that is a little more solid than ice cream. A lot of it's meant to be done by hand in this book. I happen to have enough stand mixers kicking around for our review that I'm going to just do 2 stand mixers, dueling stand mixers, and see what comes out of it. The recipe calls for an 8-inch square cake pan, and we couldn't come up with one of those for some reason. It's just like, it didn't get here. So we're using an 8 by 5-inch loaf pan. The math on the division of the 8-inch square pan didn't really math. I think something got lost in the conversion. I can show a diagram of how that's supposed to work and what was wrong with it. Maybe here. It's a lot of offcuts. I think something got missed. So we're just gonna use the loaf pan. This looks to me like the size of a regular like American like frozen Snickers ice cream bar. And so I think it's gonna work just fine. Oh my goodness. I love malt. Are we in soft peak territory? Yeah. Wow, that was really fast. This is definitely not it yet, but I just want to check on where it's at. Yeah. That is a stiff peak. We love it. Let's check on where we're at with this whipped cream. A little bit of whipped cream and some flaky salt just to loosen the meringue. Hand whip that in. Trying to use gentle pressure to make sure there's no like big air bubbles, but without deflating our mousse. This is going in the freezer, probably overnight. See you tomorrow. Let's look at Past Bryn's handiwork. Oh no!
Did you
God,
break it?
I thought it was broken. It just it released.
Jesus.
Whew! So I made these more like a regular size Snicker ice cream bar. They're gonna be slightly tall though.
Oh yeah, right, because she uses a different pan.
Right.
And we don't have it, so we had to get creative.
But we want roughly 1 1/4 inch squares on this end and then 5-inch rectangles.
Cool.
That is what we need to break down. So I think it's gonna be 6 pieces. So 1 down the middle and then divide those each into thirds.
Okay.
These are gonna be some big boys. One fun fact about Sarah is that she thinks that ice cream Snickers are very fancy.
If you had ice cream Snickers in your freezer, you were a rich kid.
You gotta tell that to my poor grandma who always had them. I do kind of want to trim the top so they're more square. How do you feel about that?
Does she trim the top?
Mm-mm.
I would just leave it then.
I think in an ideal world, I would cut these in half vertically. I ended up with 7, just like she called for. So I'm thinking these are roughly the size that they should be.
I'll start getting together the caramel stuff.
Yeah, I want you to make that. I don't want to make caramel.
Oh, you don't want to make caramel?
Fuck no, dog. Malt is good.
I'm just gonna mix this together now. Man, this is gonna be hard to gauge because our sugar is dark
I would expect to do this once or twice, honestly.
Rude. We're about there. I don't want to burn it. Oh, I think I cut it too early because it's not sputtering. Well, let's try it again. Damn, I can never tell when it's too much. Oh my God, there's a packet in here.
You don't want that in your caramel?
Nope. All right, let's try this again.
See, the problem with the last one was that we have this like kind of brownish color of sugar, and it never really changed from that color, but you could definitely argue that it's like a light golden color.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to read. So now we've got a whiter sugar, and hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. Caramel is 320 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now we're getting a lot of color really fast. I think this is the golden that they're looking for. There we go. That's more like it. Okay, using the lighter sugar was definitely easier. We need to do a bain-marie for the chocolate too. I've got a mix of dark chocolate and milk chocolate here. I think she says 70-30 mix. Let's just use the rest of it. So let's use 230 grams of our dark chocolate. So we use the rest of our dark chocolate, and then 70 grams of milk chocolate. We've got our chocolate mix. Caramel's definitely coming down to temp. Let's pipe this. Oh God.
I think it didn't matter what shape of tip we had. Whoop. I'm pushing out the top. Got a little hand caramel in there.
Oh no, there's caramel down the side. So terrible. Who's gonna want to eat that?
Let's get some nuts on these things.
I want to stick as many peanuts on here as I can get.
Not all of them are
Not
the
all
same.
peanuts are the same.
Yeah.
Some peanuts curve.
You're just reading me for filth.
It's not the size of the peanut brin. We need to get this back in the freezer.
Move it.
Okay, done.
Hurry up and nut.
Done.
We need 2 hours for the
2 hours for
caramel to
this.
set, I think. It's ganache time, baby. It's not even ganache, it's magic shell.
Yeah. Okay. This has to be cool before we dip stuff in?
Yeah, it shouldn't be warm to the touch, but it should still be fluid, it says. All right, are you ready for this?
Ready.
It melts so fast.
Yep.
She said don't go very long because it will immediately
everywhere?
melt. Well, no, it'll set. So can you spoon some over? There's some.
It's kind of like you just need to like roll it a couple times. I think that's probably going to be our solution. Damn it. There. Nailed it.
All right, this is Bryn's soon-to-be patented super 1-spoon technique. And just set it down on that. That will cure onto the bottom in like a flat layer.
Okay.
Is my thinking. Nicola, you can use this in the reprint.
It doesn't
The
work
next
at all.
edition.
Wow. He's just going to use all the chocolate on this one.
I'm so curious how Nicola's fork technique works. Could you stick a fork inside the ice cream to hold it? Like, this is going great.
I do like the strategy of putting like a little
Starting layer?
spoon of it on the bottom.
Going all in. I mean, that was highly efficient. Would you like salt on it?
It was highly efficient. Yeah. Salt me.
Oh, that's too much.
Yeah.
I got excited about the speed.
It was so fast.
I got concerned with the speed. We are rapidly running out of chocolate. I lost a little bit right there.
All right.
The chocolate fingers are a bonus. It's so quick to melt. Bums me the fuck out. An ugly little mess.
Yay! But it's our
The ice cream inside is so clean and pretty. And the chocolate's so bad.
I don't know if we're gonna get this last one. I mean, we're gonna try it, but well, we're just losing it left and right. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Stick. I'm just trying to paint it on, but it's sticking to my fingers more than it is the ice cream.
That's so funny. It's all set to the bowl. That's so funny.
The chocolate's good. There it is.
All right, this is a little cross section.
Look at that.
It's melting so fast on my fingers.
Oh my god. I feel like an animal.
Semi-Freddo did not set enough. It's so soft.
Mm-hmm. It's so soft.
It needs to be a little bit firmer, I think. It's like a cold mousse.
Mm-hmm.
The mouthfeel is super, super light. The flavor is dead on for Snickers, though. Just like dark chocolate Snickers. The texture is really nice. It's just not what I was expecting. It's like, it's so airy.
It melts so fast.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't care to make the caramel or the chocolate again, so like I probably wouldn't do it. But the malt ice cream I think is really, it's a great flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could do some interesting things with that. I don't hate the idea of doing all of this as inclusions in the malt ice cream. So you make a Snickers
Oh.
ice cream. That could be really interesting.
That could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So you do like a
just like,
stracciatella and then
Mhm.
peanuts and the soft caramel.
Yeah.
I could see that being worth it, but I don't have the interest in doing like dipping chocolate. It's just too much work.
No. You could do a shell on top of everything. So it's like a
Sure.
domed.
A domed ice cream container
Yeah.
that is gone as soon as you scoop the first layer.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their own little Snickers ice cream on their own little baby plate.
You know, that was just not the ideal form of eating.
That's a messy boy.
I felt like I had to eat so much faster than I've ever wanted to eat in my life.
We'll let those other ones freeze longer. This was in for 20 minutes, which was the requirement. Maybe it'll set further to the point where it's not an issue, but Magic Shell always kind of struggles. Buddy,
He's
no.
so interested in everything that'll kill him.
I like you just holding your hands.
I really want to wash my hands, but I do want to say first that it is a smash, aside from how easily it melts in your hands. It's an uncomfortable experience.
Again, we'll see.
I feel like I didn't get a chance to actually enjoy it because I had to eat it so fast.
Let's see if the shell sets a little harder. If we give it like an hour.
Honestly, I'd probably just throw one in a bowl and then like
Mash it up
mash
and go to town on
and
it?
Eat it. Yeah.
That's, I think the big question is, can we eat this with our fingers?
It's been a couple of hours.
That split in a more aggressive way than I was expecting. It is so, the ice cream is still very
Yeah.
soft. The shell is coming apart really quick.
But it's not melting as fast as it was.
A little better, but very airy, very light,
It's
very
easier to
moussey.
eat. Let's mix it up a little bit. The flavor is fantastic.
This kind of thing where it's like a more gourmet, as she says, take on Snickers is really fun.
I think I also just prefer ice cream over semi-Freddo.
Yeah. I want like more room for nuts. That amount of caramel is good for me, and then a little less Magic Shell, and I'd be perfectly happy. We love a chaotic finish, and after testing 10 recipes and of course their related dependencies, we had opinions. But we want to test books on their own terms. What do they set out to do, and did they achieve it? Nicola wants this book to help home cooks hone their intuition about pastry. So the only way to really put that to the test is to start improvising and see where we end up. So that's what we did, and the recipes I wanted to play with the most all had one thing in common: choux. I already mentioned that we've made more crullers, and we took a stab at cream puffs for a friend's birthday as well. But revisiting that Karpatka was the one thing I couldn't get out of my mind. I still couldn't understand how Nicola's looked so clean and aerated in the photo. I hunched that she might have just pulled some good old food styling magic and frozen it, but she could have also used creme diplomat, which would be a super easy conversion from the recipe for the mascarpone creme pat called for in the original recipe. The only difference is the addition of gelatin and whipped cream. But if I was going to make it again, I also wanted to play with the flavors. Choux has a bit more of an eggy taste than I like, and I wanted to see if I could tame some of that. One of my favorite tricks I learned from Justine Dorn is that just about everything you can make with wheat flour tastes better with oat flour. The downside, of course, is that it doesn't have any gluten, so you won't get the same rise. I swapped oat flour in for 1/3 of my bread flour, which severely flattened my supposed to be mountainous choux, but tasted amazing.
That's really good.
I
I
think
can see
that's
why
nice.
people would eat this with coffee, you know?
Yeah. Lastly, I riffed on the blackberry jam we used the first time, which we loved the flavor of, but had seeds that made for a less than ideal chewing experience. So I repurposed an old blueberry coulis recipe and subbed in blackberries and my favorite flavor ever, lime leaf, strained it, and thickened it with xanthan gum to get something a little more stable. I also semi-froze the whole thing before depanning and slicing it, and then topped it with a 50-50 mix of powdered sugar and dry coconut milk sifted together. Not the prettiest, but definitely cleaner, and the flavor was phenomenal. It was lighter and brighter and definitely less eggy. Highly recommend. This is exactly how I like to learn in the kitchen. Just keep mushing patterns I know together and see how they overlap with each other until I'm comfortable. For very little work, I got a couple new tools to throw in my back pocket and mix and match however I want going forward. Both the successes and the failures made my intuition and confidence with choux shoot through the roof, and I learned some fun tricks and flavor combinations along the way. Now there was only one thing left to do. I was still frustrated with my initial croissant results, not because it was particularly difficult or because I really care about eating croissants, but because I wanted to understand where I'd gone wrong. Was it the kneading? Was it the humidity in my proofer? Had I shaped them wrong?
so I gave it another whack. I used my KitchenAid for the kneading since that's more standard and would likely match the times Nicola gave in the book. Same exact Deadpool looking ass results, not the problem. Then I laminated the dough again, easy, just like last time. Then I installed a new humidifier in my proofer. This proofer is literally just a half speed rack with a cheap controller that checks temp and humidity and turns on and off a heater or humidifier to keep each of them in the zone I set it to. The first batch of croissants proved at about 30% humidity because my old humidifier had burned out, and I tried to use a more manual humidification method that didn't give me the results I needed. With the new humidifier installed, I was proofing at 70% humidity, which gave us much better results. After a quick egg wash and bake, they were really close to what I was going for. Not perfect, but much improved, and if I made them again, I know exactly where I'd start to improve on them. But I don't really plan to make them again, because frankly, while croissants fresh out of the oven are pretty fucking good, I don't enjoy them enough to spend 3 days on them. But to learn something new, it was 3 days I was happy to spend.
We went from crescent rolls to croissants.
The understanding is the point, both for me and for Sift. And now, after a month with Sift, we've got opinions. With a book like Sift, we don't want you to confuse accessibility with ease. This is a brain-on book that expects you to fail in order to learn. Right out of the gate in the intro, Nicola tells you that you will have problems, but not only are we not going to hold that against Sift, we both think it's incredibly important. Nicola does everything she can to set you up to be able to read your own mistakes and understand these dishes on a much deeper level than easy success would ever give you. The failures are the point, and we are much better as cooks for all the problems we ran into. The only knock I'd really be willing to give on accessibility is just the sheer number of pans and molds and whatnot that you need. It's a pretty long list, but I also think that comes with the territory in a pastry book and would be nitpicky even for me. This isn't a quick and easy desserts book, though there are certainly a few of those. This is a get good at pastry book, and if you commit to it, we believe you will. Accessibility gets a 10. Sift is not built like any other cookbook we've ever tested. Most cookbooks give you a little spiel about the author's life and why the recipes in the book made the cut, then just dive into recipes. Sift takes a massively different approach.
I wanted people to be able to buy this with no intention of making the recipes. Like, obviously, I hope that they do, but I really wanted this to people to be able to kind of read it uninterrupted, almost like page to page.
The entire first third of this 350-page book is dedicated to a 9-chapter treatise on all things pastry, covering everything from domestication of wheat to how to build a bake. It's incredibly thorough, and it was definitely a case where even though we knew a lot of the stuff Nicola was saying already, the additional detail fleshed out concepts and gave us new ways of communicating what we were seeing to each other. It took us each a couple hours to read, but ultimately it was super worth the time and paid dividends throughout the review and beyond. The rest of the book is mostly recipes, broken up into 5 sections, starting with base recipes for everything from choux to brioche, and ending with some extras like creme pâtissière and brown butter. But the 3 sections in between those two are absolutely genius. They're titled An Afternoon, a Day, and a Weekend. And as you can probably guess, they're all about the amount of time you'll need to dedicate for the entire process of cooking that dish.
The easiest way to give yourself the best chance of succeeding is to give yourself enough time to make things. So breaking it into that like very kind of afternoon, day, wink, wink, overnight weekend was like the best way I thought to do it.
We found this absolutely brilliant because that is exactly our first concern when we're planning to make pastry. How much time do we have and what can we pull off in that window? Right out the gate, Nicola is speaking our language. But then she goes even further. There are detailed timelines for every single recipe, charts that strike a beautiful balance between technical and fun, and the photos are lovely and mostly realistic. I want to say this very clearly. This is easily our favorite book design we've ever encountered. Design gets a 10. Flavor is the most challenging thing for me to rate because every recipe got a smash from at least one of us. I think this is only the second book ever to do that. But it's also not really even the point. If we're being really critical, these flavors mostly lean towards what we would consider classic French and British flavors. No surprise for a pastry book by a British author, right? Those aren't really our favorites because they tend to be very mellow. Your mileage may vary. But again, I got what I wanted out of this book and then some. I was coming here to learn, not collect exact recipes to keep in my back pocket. I wanted the understanding of pie crust, not the perfect pot pie recipe. I wanted to learn what all the fuss is about creme pâtissière and creme légère and creme diplomate, not to always make them with the same vanilla flavor. The last book that was all smashes, Diasporican, got a 10 for flavor because that's way more than we expect from the average cookbook published today. I feel the exact same way about Sift. Flavor's a 10. Nicola absolutely nails the balance between technical and approachable. We loved the way that we could always count on the info we needed being somewhere in the book. The instructions were straightforward but friendly, and other than a do a lattice instruction on the pot pie, we felt like we had all the guidance we needed. There were a handful of errors, we counted 4 total, particularly on physical dimensions, which mostly seemed to come down to the fact that this is the US and Canada focused version of an originally UK oriented book. Errors are annoying as a reader, but they're also kind of just the cost of printing a physical book. You can't go back and fix them like you can with online recipes.
If someone said, hey, I think I've spotted something, the first thing I do is I make the recipe with that quantity in it, and I go, okay, is this make or break? And I've been really fortunate with the errors that have happened in the book with like quantities or whatever. They've not been make or break. Like it's like the recipe still works. Like I used the example earlier, like the lemon custard brulee in the first printing of the US of the UK version, it had either, I think it had 20 grams of lemon juice and it should have been 120. And that was just like a copying and pasting error. And so I made it with the 20 grams and I was like, you know what, like it's still lemony, like it's not make or break, but obviously we've corrected it now and I've put it on the website. But it's always the first thing I do is like, okay, is this make or break? Because if it's make or break, then I'm like issuing like full email, like direct like announcement, you know, whereas if it's like, okay, it should have been more lemony, I'll put a story up about it and then I'll link people to my website so they can see. And then I just say like, please just like go into a book, like make a little mark, and that's the best I can do. Like that is like the version of editing the caption that I can do, which is take a biro. And my hope is that people will be scribbling notes in their recipe books anyway. But obviously it feels so bad and you feel so guilty. Like the first thing is it feels like, oh, it's just painful because you try so hard. You try so hard during the process.
And actually, we're not calling this out because we think Sift is more error prone than other books. I really just wanted a reason to ask Nicola about them during our interview, because when I was doing research, I found that her website has maybe the most detailed errata page I've ever seen, full of corrections and reading recommendations if you want to dig further. Writing is a 10. Going into 2025, one of my personal goals for the year was to deepen my understanding of pastry. I really haven't worked with it at all since I was a teen, and it just wasn't ever my thing. It often felt too fiddly with all the decoration I didn't really care about, and too fussy with all these systems at work that I didn't quite understand. That all makes the feel of pastry daunting and stiff instead of fun and relaxed like savory is for me. It's been a couple weeks since we finished testing, and not only have I already figured out where the few mistakes we made were and how to correct them, I've also written several recipes based on things I learned directly from this book, customizing them to my tastes and style, and it never felt daunting or stiff or fussy or fiddly. I now understand far more than I did just a month ago, and that's my favorite feeling in the world. Pastry's not some unfathomable, here there be monsters type shit like everyone says it is for me anymore. It's easy, you just need a good teacher. Sift was that teacher for me, and there are very few books that have allowed me to see the matrix like it has. Ken Forkish's flour, water, salt, yeast felt that way for bread. Samin Nosrat's salt, fat, acid, heat helped me understand seasoning in a deeper way. On Food and Cooking by Harold McGee changed the way I think about food entirely. Sift belongs in that same category for me. It's a genuine modern classic. Value gets a 10. Which of course brings our initial cult score to a 10. Our first perfect score ever, and one that I debated constantly. I could be harsher. I could find places to knock off a point or two, and actually, at the time I talked to Nicola, it was a couple points short. But the more time I spend with Sift, the more I'm just absolutely in love with this book. You know that feeling when a book just meets you where you are? That's how I feel about it. When we start a review, we read the whole book cover to cover, and like 10 pages in, I was smitten with Nicola's approach, and that set me up to feel super comfortable throughout our entire time with this book. I was worried that this was just a lack of experience with pastry books, but we bought a whole stack of them a few weeks ago to make sure it wasn't a fluke. It was not. If you're interested in starting baking or want to understand it on a deeper level and you're not afraid of a little failure, Sift by Nicola Lamb is maybe the perfect book for you. Okay, I know it's been a long time since our last big review, but we've got a lot more coming at you, including a stand mixer review that we're about to wrap up. But we decided to include the new Uni Halo Pro and had to wait for that to arrive, which happened literally today. If you want more reviews, the best way to help us make more is to head over to cultflave.com, join the community, and you can support us for only $20 a year. We don't do ads, we're entirely community supported, and all that does is help us afford these review units and ideally hire a producer before too long so we can make even more. No exclusives, just more stuff for everyone. That's the pitch. Link in the description.